Gunter,
Hey.
it's a privilege to meet you.
This is how you come in.
Yes,
All the
yes.
painters, all the writers. I mean, all big people have been here in Berlin. When I sit here, like I can talk here because the spirits are here, right? When I'm in my little town in Göttingen, I have a hard time to find my spirit. But here, I used to play on the street because we didn't have no money in New York. And one day we played, there came all these kids, 15, 16, they came up with their ghetto blasters and wanted to use that spot where we were. And so they looked at our music and we didn't stop because we didn't have enough money yet, so we needed some more cash. So we kept on going. And so they got, they wanted to take the place, but they were so shy, not pushing us away or something. So they started then to move to our improvised music. When I started to know about jazz, I was about 8 years old. So World War II was just over, was not even over, was still going on. And my hometown, I'm from Göttingen, was conquered by American soldiers. And on our backyard, my father was a roof maker, so we had a little backyard for all our gears, was occupied by GIs coming there with their trucks. And I was running around, not like today, people with a guitar. I had an accordion with me, 8 years old. And so I was playing my folk tunes or whatever I could. And there happened something in my life which had never happened before. When I passed by this black GI making a fire and cooking him some food, he grabbed his guitar and started to jam with me on my folk tunes, because those folk tunes I played were so simple and were almost like those folk tunes you have in the United States, because all our European tradition has been moved to the United States. So I had my first jam when I was 8 years old. I listened to the AFN, that was the American Forces Network radio, and the first thing I really was aware about was Louis Armstrong, because that man was singing to me like no one ever had been singing. We were talking about church songs before we turned on the camera, but the essence of what Louis Armstrong was giving me, was handing me there, in giving me his songs, his music, was hope for me. There was hope and glory, and that terrible war. If I tell you my experiences of this war, you wouldn't believe it, but we don't want to go into that now. But this is the way like I would turn onto jazz, because I had been experienced nothing but war in my life. Being 8 years old, I thought the whole world was on war, on fire. So when I heard Louis Armstrong, there was, because I'm a musician, my father was a piano player and roof maker to make his money. But I heard something in there which I had never heard before, and so he turned me on. Louis Armstrong turned me on. I couldn't have gotten a better person to turn me on than Louis, And from that moment on, I felt that there was something which I want to go along to. This is how my life really started, when I was turned on to jazz music.
Yeah.
So that's my early story. We have to be more personal, more to develop our own, but also the teamwork to get, because that was Duke Ellington, that was Charlie Parker, that's all these guys, Monk. I've met Monk, I've met a lot of people in my life, and I learned from them how you just be yourself. Break dancer from Tajikistan with that hip-hop unit. And he and me, it was funny, their whole program was always putting him and me together. And we were improvising. I was playing and he was doing his dances to it. He listened to me, and like I played with Steve McCall, I just described to you before. He's very talented. I mean, like he's magic. We have been doing, in the meantime, duo concerts, him dancing and me playing, improvising, playing my tunes, whatever there was. And the people have been writing up like, this is the first time that music and dance is following each other. Usually you have dance to a piece of music, classical music or in a musical or whatever. The music is written, and then the choreographer puts the music. And all the improvisations which have been done was always a failure. It never worked because the dancers have to count. They have to know what's coming before they know what to do. But this guy, I've been working with Nureyev and some great dancers from the classical field. They wanted my music for a dance piece. I had to give them a music piece, and then they were choreographing their pieces on it. But whenever I tried with those classical trained ballet dancers to improvise, they couldn't do this, because you need to have control about your body. You have to have a link to your mind. You have a link to your spontaneity and the control. So this guy and me, we're doing this since 11 years, that we go and do these concerts. I've even put him and some of his other friends who learned from him how to do it, to be spontaneous. Because when they go out with us, they don't know what kind of music we're going to play. Because when the saxophonist is playing a solo, they don't know what he's going to play. So they have to spontaneously go with our music and dance. In New York, which was called The History of Jazz. So the concert was starting New York, all famous musicians with Dixieland and swing, and went all through the styles. And I and Perry Robinson, who was in my band at that time, we were invited to join this. This was in one of those churches there in New York. And so when they played Dixieland, we didn't wait when the free jazz was on. We played with those Dixieland players. And they were all saying, hey, I thought these guys were free jazz musicians, they cannot play. Yeah? You know, stupid stuff. So we played with our clarinets, hey, we played Dixieland and swing and on. And then when we came more and more to the modern times, then a lot of these people stopped playing. But there was this trombone player, was a very old man, old black man. He kept on playing. His name was J.C. Higginbotham. He played with Louis Armstrong and all stuff. And then when we played the free part, he couldn't stand anymore, so he was sitting on the chair. He was getting off there. And then he said, when you call this free jazz, I've played this all my life, he said. Okay? So that is the real message of jazz, you know, that freedom. streets in the night at 2 o'clock in New York to go to the river. Because when I have my head full and I've been working all day like in an office in my house, I go take a bike ride, get fresh air, because there's coming the fresh air from the sea is coming into the city. And there all the people are dancing and walking and all this stuff. And they were doing just, I mean they were doing more jazz live than you could hear from the jazz musicians playing in the clubs. I mean it was so that hip hop, what was going on there was action. It was really very